Hey, what's up, everybody? Your boys from Siphon TCG, and welcome back to another episode of Trading Card Gambit. Change starts with you. And yes, I'm looking right at you in the camera. Eye to eye. Nose to nose. Lips to lips. Pause. There's a trend I seem to notice in a lot of people where they wonder why they might have been all the way up here at one point, and now they're down here. They've been here the whole entire time. They never go up. This stagnation, this resistance to change, is what's keeping you and a lot of these people down. Now, if you think in your head, this video does not pertain to you, well, I have two things. Number one, this video will therefore absolutely pertain to you. And two, repeat step one. Everyone has to change. No one can ever stay the exact same the whole entire time and expect success. Being resistant to learning something new, breaking down certain beliefs, will keep you trapped. Now, this video is going to be perceived as a personal shot with this next little bit I'm going to get into. Now, the person that this is involving, if you watch this and you feel like this is me sending a personal shot at you, sorry to hear that. Maybe this is something that you absolutely need to listen to. If you feel personally attacked by this, absolutely you need to listen up. So a couple nights ago, I was talking to some friends about certain meta decks and Flesh and Blood. This is going to be a very Flesh and Blood focused video. We were talking about certain matchups, and one of the matchups that came up was Ice Hunter versus Dromai. Now, this is a matchup that honestly is like one of those, probably I would say true 50-50s, or 60-60s, as like a lot of people like to joke, like both sides think they're favored. Realistically, this is a matchup that normally whoever has more practice in the matchup will win, even regardless of skill level. Like, you would have to be a top like 1 or 2% of one of the two characters to be able to make up for the lack of experience in the matchup. Like, let's say you're Mara Forest, right? But unironically, you've played like 2 games versus Icelander. And I've played like 100 games of Icelander versus Draw on the Icelander side. Now, Mara might just be able to be naturally good enough at her character where she might be able to beat me, right? But you replace Mara Forest, same amount of games, with Jimmy from down the street. Jimmy from down the street's going to get his back blown out by a Night Switch. And a lot of this came down to a lot of hypotheticals on both sides. And me, I'm a person, I try to argue facts, historical data, and math, right? That is how I try to overlay my arguments. I used to be a very passionate person. I used to argue with emotion, and it got nowhere. So that's why a lot of times in arguments, I tend to talk a little bit less than I used to. I also don't talk as fast. I try to be as precise with my point as possible so you understand my position and why I think a certain thing, right? Now, this person in question claimed Dromai can't lose. And everyone else was like, we understand what you're saying. Like, I think you're bringing up some valid points. But let's also talk about from the other side of the table. And for me, example, I use math. So the math I used, right, is if you look at historical win rates, at the start it was very bad for Icelander. Then it actually became very, very good for Icelander. Now I think it probably sits somewhere in the middle. But I do think that, and one of the questions that was asked, if both players are playing at peak proficiency, Who wins? I personally think Icelander. I think a lot of times where we see the game go into the Icelander's favor. Now, obviously, there's been a few times where some throws have happened. I would be delusional if I said they never happened. But the longer the game genuinely goes, the more favorable it gets for Icelander. She's, for most reasons, obviously she's a blue-based deck, and blues are very good when it comes to using resources. A lot of Icelander damage scales with maybe permanents on the board that help discard cards from hand. That can maybe, even if it doesn't actually translate to more actual damage that turn, can translate into theoretical damage later on, or reduced damage, so effective damage on the turn is raised on your side or lowered on their side. So equally, no matter what, it kind of goes like this, right? Certain timed Frostbite can just end a turn. Icy Eternal can literally just be a time walk, even if it's 2 mana. It's just 2 Frostbites. It can literally be a time walk. Now, the other person made a very good point, and I don't think anyone can refute this. Sure, you can just like pop the Dromai's Dragons. You can stop their turn, but as long as they're able to continuously develop a board, it eventually is going to get very dangerous for you. Now, even though I said the longer the game goes, favors Icelander, but here's where the Dromai can fight back. If you have a board of like 12 or so Ashlings and like 5 actual dragons, and I miss Disruption, I could either die or just get chunked so incredibly hard, it's not funny. Absolutely. But the issue is, and why I think this person was refusing to change, is because they were looking at the argument from a very biased point of view. They said, well, the Icelander needs so much to go right, like every single turn, and like the Dromai just has to like play stuff. And when they were presented multiple points in favor of the Icelander, they kind of brushed it under the rug. And then just said, no, like I don't really care about any of that. They were able to talk about 10% situation. We were talking about the like 90 to like, or like 50% situation. It got ignored. And while this person didn't necessarily need to change, like their opinion, they needed to change how they approached an argument. The issue with how they approached the argument is, again, from very biased. So actually, let me break this down. Let me give you guys a little sub-episode. The goal of the argument is not to win. If you ever try to argue with someone and all you want to do is win the argument, you're arguing dishonestly, you're arguing for the wrong reason. And I think that's what this person was trying to do. You have to change that. Whenever you argue in anything in life, your goal is not to win, your goal is to find the truth. And here's the thing. A lot of the conclusions that I have right now in Flesh and Blood were trained and learned from other people. When I first started playing Icelander, I didn't think there was any universe Icelander could win unless you got the Dromai game lost. I didn't think it was physically possible. Even a Magical Christmas Land, I thought it was impossible. And slowly, I continuously kept being proven wrong. There's a lot of things that I had a very, very stubborn opinion about. For example, I played a lot of Control Dash. One of your most favorable matchups is Guardian. I didn't think there was a scenario where Guardian could beat you. But then I was demonstrated in multiple ways, not only through conversation, but through actual gameplay, where the Guardian has that a certain angle. And if they play to that certain angle, sorry, I might cut out. But if the Guardian player plays to that certain angle, me saying the Guardian player could never win, that's somewhat hyperbolic, obviously. No matchup is ever 100-0. But let's just say it's 90-10. Well, the Guardian player showed me, again, through conversation and through gameplay, how do we achieve this 10%? Actually, the person I'm talking about, now this will probably be very specific for people who may not know. Oldham player, right? At the time I was playing Prism. And everyone knows, Guardian versus Prism, unwinnable, especially for the Oldham. Oldham can't win. Well, my opponent showed it was definitely possible. They played Nerves of Steel into me. And obviously, while initially I didn't know how to react to it, even still, my opponent showed there was an out to win. My opponent established something. Now it was wanting me to react. If I don't react fast enough, the Oldham wins. And you know what the Oldham did? The Oldham won. And I had to change my outlook. Because I said it was physically impossible. I don't care what the Oldham does. No matter how bad I play, it's impossible for the Oldham to win. And I had to change. But let's get off the that kind of thing. Here's another aspect where change starts with you. You've been playing your fun deck for the longest time. For example, me when I was playing Kano for the longest time. And yes, I technically was having success in armories. I even had success in a skirmish with Kano. But every time I took him to a large event, just did not go well. Even when I looked back at the game and I was like, well, I could have done this and this better. I still don't know if this results in an actual win. But I continuously kept playing Kano, expecting, the win will just come eventually. It has to. But mentally, I wasn't changing. I wasn't actually changing my outlook on the deck. I was like, okay, I'm not having success. What can I change about my deck? What can I change about my philosophy with the deck? And then I was super hesitant to actually just not playing the deck. This ProQuest season, this is currently October 19th or something like that. No, it's October 16th when I'm recording. I was locked in on Kano multiple weeks before the ProQuest season. I was like, I'm playing Kano because of this, this, and this. And I said, well, it has this kind of matchup, and if I just do this, I should do well. But slowly, all of my ideology, all of my beliefs, just like the Roman Empire, it vanished. It went away. It got broken down. I got proven wrong about a lot of things that I thought. Now, I could have been hesitant and be like, nope, all that's wrong. I'm just going to keep doing what I want to do. I would have been stuck in the exact same spot. But I chose to change. And now I have two decks that I could pick up and play right now and be very confident in myself. Now, obviously, I still will actually have to play the games at the ProQuests. That part's obvious. But at the end of the day, I still am glad I have confidence in myself. Because the low point I got with Kano is a point that I don't want to ever get. Another deck that I was on for a while, I was just convinced that it was a really powerful deck, was the Accidentia deck. I was just convinced all you have to do is dodge Dromai and you can just beat whatever else. The deck's tuned to do that. And through more and more testing, I had to change my belief. And I couldn't blame it on just some random code streak. This was online. This was in real life. Chinks in the armor started to show. And there were chinks that were happening the same way. And then when I tried to fix them, the results were staying the same. I had to change my ideology where, well, this deck doesn't just beat everything. That's not Dromai. And thinking like that is foolish. And I learned from that. I challenge you guys to do the same. Whether it be in a card game, whether it be an esport, whether it just be in life. Do not be resistant to change if the change is good. I'm not saying to stop everything you're doing. and then just flip flop whatever you're doing right now. But what I'm trying to tell you is if things are not going the way you think they should be going, maybe things need to be different. And it's not up to me to make those things different. It's not up to him to make those things different. It starts with you wanting to make things different, acting on that feeling, and going through with it. Change starts with you. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys want to see next. It's been your boy Siphon from Siphon TCG. I'll see you guys next time. Peace!